Mastermind, Strategist for Hire. Written by Clouds, My Head in the Clouds, Not Coming Down. And read by Eleanor Elizabeth. Chapter 10. Hostages. "What is this damn world coming to?" Mitsuki exclaimed. "Just last night that fucker Mastermind gave the heroes the slip. Put a hero in hospital too, from what I heard. It's just so terrible. I wish they'd just catch him already. It's nerve-wracking every time I turn the news on. I'm so worried for Katsuki when he starts UA," Inko fretted. "Yeah, right. Like some weak fucker like Mastermind could beat me," Katsuki said. "They should have sent stronger heroes to the raid. The reason that hero got hurt was because he was weak." "Shut up, brat! Don't go speaking ill of the injured like that." Izuku played with his food and tried not to react. Dinner with the Bakugos was always difficult, having to act natural with Katsuki so his friend wouldn't have any reason to kill him. But it was even harder when he was the topic of conversation. Izuku wanted nothing more than to smirk and take credit for his crimes, or even kill Katsuki right there and prove that he wasn't weak. But he was smart enough to realize how stupid that would be. He had just escaped the hero raid with his identity intact. He wasn't about to go giving himself away now. It still didn't make it any easier to navigate this conversation. "Well, I'm just grateful that it didn't end up any worse," Masaru said quietly. Inko looked at him like he'd grown a second head. "He got away and a hero was injured. How could it have gotten any worse?" Masaru set down his fork and looked at Inko. "According to a friend of mine with the police, a huge crowd gathered shortly after the raid began, and they were worried Mastermind would take hostages. We're lucky he just disappeared." Izuku's head snapped up as the cogs in his brain started turning. Hostages, he thought. Now, there's an idea. "Did you enjoy dinner with Katsuki's family? You're kind of tired tonight." Izuku nodded. "Yeah, it was great, as always. I'm kind of tired. I think I'm just going to go to bed early." Inko looked at him with concern. "Don't you want to watch the news?" Izuku just shook his head. It'd all be about the failed raid anyway. "Good night, Mum." Inko looked like she wanted to protest, but pity won out. "Okay, Izuku. Good night." He shut his door and immediately went to his desk and opened the untraceable laptop he got from Jiren. Hostages. It was such a simple idea, but it would be extremely effective, because the first rule of hero work was to prioritize the rescue. Any time a hostage was in danger, the heroes would have to do whatever necessary to keep the hostage safe, rather than catch the villain. But who to take? Izuku sighed. Kidnapping civilians and holding them somewhere just wasn't practical. As shitty as his life was outside of his villainy, it still existed. He just didn't have an underground bunker somewhere to keep hostages fed and alive for an indeterminate amount of time. If only he could just threaten to kill more heroes if they caught him or something, but then he'd be caught and wouldn't be able to kill them. He paused. Mastermind had never had to be physically present to kill anyone as long as he had interested buyers. It was one of the reasons it had taken the police so long to acknowledge his existence. Izuku smiled slowly. What he had in mind would take a lot of preparation, and he wouldn't be able to do it alone, but he was sure it would make an impact. He opened up his Mastermind account and drafted a message to a hacker named Labrava that Jiren had recommended. The heroes wouldn't know what hit them. If there was anything good that had come from the failed Mastermind raid, it was that the guy hadn't shown his face for 2 weeks. Tsukashi didn't know if he should be happy the guy wasn't committing crimes, or frustrated that they couldn't find him. But the fact remained that Mastermind had gone to ground immediately after the raid, and hadn't been heard from since. Nezu had warned that he might be planning something, but Tsukashi didn't know what it could be. He decided to just count his blessings that the media had finally stopped camping in front of the station trying to get statements. It was bad enough that the vultures had finally gotten a hold of the fact that Kamui Woods wasn't just injured, but had been viciously burnt alive. He'd been lucky to survive, but there'd be a lengthy recovery process before he was able to return to hero work. Tsukashi's thoughts were interrupted by his phone ringing. "Hello?" "Detective, are you watching the news?" Nezu's voice sounded worried. An alarm bell started ringing in Tsukashi's head. He'd heard the principal sound gleeful, sad, even frustrated, but he'd never heard him sound worried before. "Turn to Channel 5. Tsukashi grabbed the remote to the small TV by his desk and turned it on to find two terrified-looking news anchors looking into the camera. "Left on the desk of the main producer to our station this morning with instructions to air it, or our entire production team would be killed. We do not yet know what is on the tape, so we urge viewers to stop watching, as there is a possibility that it could contain sensitive information or images that could be triggering to some viewers." The screen cut to a dark green background. A black circle with a capital M inside it was superimposed onto the green, and Tsukashi found it hard to breathe. He'd seen that symbol before on some of Mastermind's latest plans. It was a sort of signature that he'd added in the last few months, probably to discourage copycats. This was bad. The image faded to reveal Mastermind in a dark room, his toxic green eyes looking directly into the camera. His voice was somewhat distorted, but it still sounded young and male.
"Hello. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Mastermind, and I'm the strategist behind the recent uptick in hero deaths. You're welcome,"
he said cheerfully.
"Some of you may have heard already, but the heroes almost managed to catch me last week."
He slow clapped.
"Congratulations, heroes! And I'd say better luck next time, but..."
He turned deadly serious.
"There won't be a next time. You see, this video is just a courtesy to let you know that this is now a hostage situation. If I am caught or killed, the murder plans for all top 50 heroes will automatically be released to interested buyers."
Tsukashi couldn't look away. Taking the top 50 heroes hostage? Mastermind can't be serious.
"Now, I know what you're thinking, but Mastermind, heroes can defend themselves. You can't take them hostage."
His eyes took on a wicked glint.
"But see, that's where you're wrong. I've proved over a dozen times that heroes aren't as invincible as you all want to believe. Just ask Smart Lady, Stretch, or maybe Glimmer."
"Detective? Detective!" Tsukashi raised his phone to his ear again, from where it had fallen to the desk. "I'm here." "Please tell me this is a bluff," Nezu pleaded. "Tell me that he doesn't actually plan on doing this." Tsukashi swallowed. "My quirk hasn't registered any lies." Nezu swore. Another first for the principal.
"Now,"
Mastermind continued,
"in case you think that this is a bluff, I'm going to give you proof. I'll wait until this video airs. Then, I'll release the murder plans for Pro Hero Wash. He's in the top 10, a pretty competent hero by all accounts. So, go ahead. Try to protect him. I'm frankly excited to see you try."
Mastermind was smiling now, if his eyes were any indication.
"And just remember, once he's dead, that if you catch me or kill me, you'll have a lot more dead heroes on your hands. You might be able to save some of the top 50, but there's no way you'll be able to save them all."
Mastermind waved at the camera.
"Good luck."
The screen cut back to the news anchors, who began to discuss the footage, but Tsukashi could hardly hear them. Mastermind had just gone from a dangerous up-and-coming to an S-ranked villain instantly, and they couldn't do anything about it. "I'm sorry, Wash. It'll just be for a few days, until we can determine Mastermind's threat level." "It's okay, Detective." Wash held up his hands placatingly. "I understand the need for extra security. Mastermind had Japan on the edge, even before he announced the plan to take pro heroes hostage. I just hope everything works out and we can catch him soon." Tsukashi sighed and shook his head. "You and me both." They were currently at a safe house, which meant that Wash had to take a few days off hero duty, but it wasn't the end of the world. At least this would prove to Japan that the heroes and police were able to protect the top 50 and render Mastermind's hostage situation harmless. It would be worth it in the end.
Start the stream!
A voice called out, and Wash and Tsukashi immediately went on high alert. There wasn't supposed to be anyone but them here right now. The other officers weren't scheduled to arrive for another 20 minutes. Tsukashi took out his gun and looked at Wash. He nodded his head and took a place behind the detective. They flinched as an explosion sounded and the door to the safe house flew open. 4 thugs ran in with gas masks, the one at the back holding a phone out in front of him. Tsukashi fired as Wash shot a stream of water at the villains. All of a sudden, Wash spasmed and fell to the floor. "Wash!" Tsukashi cried out. "Water's an awesome conductor, isn't it, hero?" the lead thug said. Tsukashi aimed for him, only to realize that one of their quirks created a bulletproof shield, and all of his bullets were falling ineffectually on the floor. He grabbed a lamp, the nearest thing he could use as a weapon, and stood in front of the concussed hero, preparing to make his last stand. One of the thugs rushed him, and Tsukashi knocked him aside easily, but the next grabbed the lamp and forced him to grapple. All of a sudden, the opponent let go of him and stood back, but rather than catch his breath, Tsukashi stiffened as he felt electricity run through him, and he fell paralyzed against the couch. "Make sure you get this on camera. Mastermind wants the world to know what he's capable of. It's the least I can do to rid the world of this scum that arrested my brother." The thug with the camera nodded, and Tsukashi watched helplessly as the lead villain took out a gun of his own and shot Wash twice in the chest. He paused a moment, then put another bullet in the hero's head. "You can never be too sure," he laughed. "Roaches like that are tough to kill. Come on, boys, let's go." Backup arrived as Tsukashi was finally able to start moving again. He watched as paramedics rushed to Wash first, only to shake their heads and come help him instead. "Are you okay, sir? Can you move?" Tsukashi nodded and flinched. The paramedics continued asking him questions, and he answered numbly. Nezu arrived as they were leading him to the ambulance with a shock blanket around his shoulders. He must have looked pretty bad, because the principal immediately looked at him with concern. "Are you okay, detective?" Tsukashi shrugged. "My entire body hurts like hell, but the paramedics say I'll be okay." Nezu got a strange look in his eye. "No, I mean emotionally." Tsukashi rubbed his eyes in frustration and was surprised when his hand came away already wet. When had he started crying? "The leader had an electric type quirk. When Wash got hit with it, I thought he was just unconscious, but it just paralyzed whoever got hit with it. I was awake the whole time. I had to just watch, else they killed him, and I couldn't do anything about it." He looked at Nezu helplessly. "What are we going to do?" Nezu just looked to where the media were already starting to gather, despite the fact that Wash's death had been live-streamed. "I don't know," he whispered. "I really don't know." Hey guys, it's Ella, and I hope you are having a lovely day today. Wow, my sun's really popping off now. I mean, holding the entire hero community hostage? That's fucking badass. And we stand. So, the poll is still ongoing, but it seems that by quite a significant margin, the votes are saying that Saturday the 3rd of December is going to be the live stream. And I'm planning to start it at about 11 p.m. GMT, which is 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central, and 3 p.m. Pacific for you Americans. I hope that's an okay time for all of you across the pond, without making it ridiculously late here. So please come along in. It'll be really embarrassing if no one shows up, to be honest. And go ahead and keep suggesting some fics for that in the comments down below. Please keep them quite short, because I do want to be able to read a couple of fics. So preferably under 2,000 or 3,000, because 3,000 or 4,000 words comes around about half an hour, and so I want to be able to actually have time to do a few. But anyway, I hope you liked this chapter. It honestly gave me chills. But if you liked the video, be sure to like it. You know, to boost my serotonin, give me that fresh dopamine hit. And, leave comments down below and tell me what you thought of the fic. Tell me about anything you want. We just like to have a nice little old chat down in the comments. Not to sound super cringe or anything, but I do love talking to you guys in the comments. And, go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to, be notified when, I make new videos, fun stuff like that. But until I see you again, be sure to practice some self-care. Drink your water, go to bed on time, brush your teeth. I am your mum now. And this is a threat. I will ground you. Or worse. Grounding is the least that I will do. I will catch you guys later.